Hello, Sherry.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am alive. Thank you for coming on. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Sherry. I am currently in New York. I'm studying for my MBA at Georgetown at the moment, but because of COVID and everything that's going on, I'm virtual for this semester. So I'm staying in New York until December.
And then what happens in December?
So the university is supposed to release its plans this coming Monday. Ideally, we would be hybrid, but obviously, because of the spike in cases at the moment, we don't really know what's going to happen. So, if it is a hybrid format of teaching, then ideally I would move down to DC. But if it's not, I'm considering still staying in New York.
Do they give you like a date on when they will make that decision? Because that seems like a life altering decision they're kind of doing, right?
It is. We had a town hall today just for the business school. But obviously, the business school has to abide by the entire university wide guidelines. So those plans are being announced on Monday. So this coming Monday, we'll see what happens in the spring.
Gotcha. And what made you go get your master's?
I kind of wanted to get back to learning every day. After working for a couple of years, I realized I wasn't using my brain as much as I wanted to, I guess, on a daily basis.
were
So
you were you just slacking off at work? Is that what you're saying?
no, I just thought that I missed that challenge of every single day doing something new and having a new challenge. So I figured coming back to business school would be that next step, and the fact that it would be helpful for future career moves, I would say.
But weren't you doing medical research type of stuff before you went back to school?
Yes. So I was working at a hospital doing cancer research. The only thing is that when it comes to academia, you are sort of um, kept in the same realm of whatever research you're doing. So I
Mm.
was involved in oncology, so that's cancer, and specifically focused on colorectal cancer. So the type of research that I was doing was always revolved around colorectal cancer, and I wanted something more. So I decided to go back to school.
So, quick question: What? And I already know the answer here, but what? Where is your accent from?
Maybe we should leave that till the end and then reveal that and see if anyone can guess it in the meantime. Because I'm sure it's so mixed up now that it's going to be very difficult for people to figure it out.
Well, I know when I first met you, I thought it was British, so that's a clue. It's not British.
Didn't you also guess Australian?
I'm sure I guessed a lot of things. I'm not the brightest person in the world.
To be fair, my accents are a lot more American than I would like, I think, just by living in the States for so long.
Why? What? It's too American.
Yeah, so I have recordings of just, I think, videos from when I was in high school, or I don't know now, what, 10 years ago? And listening to it back, my accent does not sound the same. There are certain words that I say and the tone of my voice that is just way more American than what it used to be.
But isn't that kind of natural that you adapt to your surrounding? Because how long have you been in the U.S.?
7.5 years almost.
Yeah, so that's a fairly. I mean, and you're young, so that's a large part of your life.
I just realized something, and
What is that?
you may have to cut this.
Okay.
I didn't put my AirPods in.
Oh, you're. I mean, you're fine. You sound okay.
You can hear me from that side, okay?
Yeah, I haven't had a problem hearing you.
Oh, okay, well, perfect. These are my MacBook speakers.
Well, they are doing fantastic job.
Great. So back to the accent. What you were saying, I think it's I think it's normal for your accent to change depending on the people, the environment that you're in. But I also think your base accent is formed by the time, I guess, by your early 20s, and then it doesn't really vary that much. Because you see people who immigrate from different countries, right? If they came to an English speaking country beyond a certain age, it's less likely that they drop their original accent. But before then, like if it's 10 years old or 12, more often than not, you hear them sounding a lot more like the accent of the English speaking country. So whether that's British or American, um, at least that's what I find from friends that I have around me.
Yeah, that's a weird concept because I've met people that were born in the US and they have the thickest accent of whatever nationality their parents are from. So I had a friend in college. His name was Jose. He was born in Los Angeles, and he sounded like he came straight out of Mexico. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? Like you sound more Mexican than I do. And so
That's true. You don't sound very Mexican when you speak Spanish.
right, so I think it really depends. Again, what we were alluding to earlier is you've lived in the U.S. for 7 years, and it's only natural for you to pick that up. I know when I came to the U.S., I didn't speak English, but at a younger age, I think maybe around 10 or 11, my parents made the decision to only speak English. They were like, if we're gonna live in this country, we all need to learn our English. Um,
Wow.
and I know that other people who, whether they moved here to the U.S. or were born here in the U.S., they tend to try and stick to their native language as much as possible. And so I think that plays a larger role in your accent development, right? And I mean, do I sound super Southern?
Yes, to
Oh well,
me.
damn.
Damn.
Damn. No, because I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people tell me, well, you have certain words that we can hear a little Southern twang, but overall, they can't tell. But
Can't
apparently,
tell. Yes. That
apparently, you can.
yeah, I just think that I'm not used to it, so it sticks out even more. Um, but obviously now I'm used to how you speak, so it doesn't really come up unless I actually listen for it.
I'll tell you what. Anytime I go back down south and I end up at a Bojangles
Oh gosh.
or whatever, when I go in there and I order my chicken supreme dinner, oh man, my southern twang comes out full force because I get so excited.
That's actually really funny because I do the same thing. When I go home, and I'm not gonna say where that is, I went to, I think, get my license renewed or something. And immediately, when I spoke to the officer standing in front of me, the accent just came out full force. And it's funny because that only happens when I'm home. And immediately when I leave, it goes away.
Yeah, and even for me, when I go back to Mexico, my obviously it's two different languages, Spanish and English, but the way I speak Spanish is completely different. Um,
Yes, I can attest to that.
yeah, and I'm telling you, it's weird. I don't know how the brain works and what triggers and what levers and gears are turning in there. But as soon as your surrounding changes, you just become, I don't want to say a new person, but your voice just changes.
Yeah, I do think my tone of voice has changed since, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago. And I can hear it sometimes if I pay close attention to what I'm saying to people. Um, it's kind of sad because your accent, or at least mine, is a large part of my identity. So as I lost it over the years, it almost felt like I was losing a piece of who I used to be,
Hmm.
um, which is fascinating how it's connected so strongly. But I think at the same time, whenever I revert back to that accent when I go home, it makes me feel good that that's still inside of me somewhere. It's just not what I sound like every other day.
No, and that's actually a good point. A lot of the times, I think most people overlook their accent or the way they speak, their demeanor. Um, but yeah, it's a big part of who you are, right? So when you talk to someone and you know they're from Texas and you hear that Texas type of accent, and I know that accent because I had a buddy of mine who is, and this is true, he's from Massachusetts,
Uh huh.
but then like grew up in North Carolina, and then he got his first job out of college in Texas, and within months he was full blown Texas accent. It was just I didn't know who I was talking to anymore.
That's so funny.
He just like picked up everything, and it's like, well, I guess your northeastern or southern accents are not who you are, right? It's just wherever you are.
Wow, it changes that quickly. I wonder if I ever moved to the South, if I would start sounding Southern by any chance. I would feel so out of place.
What, living in the South?
Sounding like I do now, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was really questioning, like, man, where is that accent coming from?
It's funny because no matter where I am, whether it's networking or at a party or on a first date, the first question is always like, "Oh, that accent sounds interesting. Where are you from?" And then it launches into a conversation. I'm still surprised that I get it, even though the accent's been diluted over the years.
Well, you certainly don't sound like your average American, that's for sure.
That is true.
But yeah, so you've been in New York for how long now?
7.5 years.
Oh, okay. So you were in New York the entire time.
Yeah, so I did my undergrad here, and then right after undergrad, I started working in the city. So didn't leave. Still a New Yorker.
How has COVID affected you?
That's a very big question. This year's certainly been interesting. So I was here all throughout, from mid Feb all the way up until now. I basically haven't left at all, other than some short weekend trips here and there. But when it
Thanks for
first,
the invite.
next time.
Next time.
I'm sorry, didn't you just come back from somewhere?
Nope.
Where was
Nope.
my invite?
Nope. Must have gotten lost in the mail. I don't know if you've heard, but Trump got rid of a bunch of like mailboxes and stuff like that. So that's probably what happened.
So that's why. That's why.
Yeah.
Um,
Next time.
next time. So when I went on vacation in February, and then when I came back, was kind of when the first cases started coming out, and it started to get a little bit. People started getting anxious. So I think it was mid March where I remember going ice skating with a couple of my friends and then having brunch in Brooklyn. And then immediately the week after, we were told that we are going to work from home. And I think that's when Governor Cuomo came down with the lockdown or something like that, where everyone was supposed to work from home from March 16th or something onward.
Yep.
So when it first happened, I was just kind of staying home as much as possible. So, do you remember the TikTok challenges of push ups and then cooking with recipes?
Oh yeah, the push-ups is probably the only one I did. But yeah, all of these stay-at-home challenges, right?
Yeah, there were so many different challenges across social media platforms just to keep people engaged and like doing things. I remember so many people were baking and trying new recipes. A lot of my friends started dabbling in cocktail making, which was really interesting. But for me, I spent most of the time trying to catch up with as many friends as possible. So trying to maintain somewhat of a social life without seeing the people in person. And then I remember the longest time I could stay indoors was 6 days straight before I had to go outside and take a walk.
So you actually did that?
Taking out what? Taking a walk?
No, like staying indoors 6 days straight.
Yeah, that was the longest time I could stay indoors. The rest of the time I was just staying inside like 3 to 4 days a week and then going outside for a grocery store visit, which was probably the most exciting time of the weeks. So excited to go just buy groceries because it was the only
Right.
time I went outside. But aside from that, I think right around June, May or June was when I started biking. I started renting the city bike, signed up for a membership, and started biking all over the city, which helped a lot because the weather was getting warmer. And then I ended up biking up to Central Park or Bryan Park or down to Washington Square and just reading or drawing or listening to music, just being outside. And that helped a lot.
I'm glad that you learned how to ride a bike.
I've always known how to ride a bike.
Questionable, but how did it make you feel, or what was your mindset when? And I talked about this a little bit earlier with a friend of mine.
Mm.
When there was so much animosity and hatred towards the Asian community, because initially with this COVID, the language that was used by Trump and his administration and then news media outlets that this is all coming from China, X, Y, and Z. And I remember in the news seeing Chinatown getting vandalized and people were getting attacked. Like, did you ever feel unsafe, or what was your mindset?
Oh, definitely. Um, Aside from just not feeling safe as a woman just on the streets of New York, um, I remember at that time I would take the train back in March, and this was before the lockdown happened, and be worried about other people judging me for wearing a mask because at that point it wasn't a rule that you had to wear a mask yet, and it was just
Right.
you to protect yourself. And I was worried that people would think that I was sick or something was going on. And then, in terms of safety, as it got worse, I tried to be outside less and less. And those grocery store visits, I asked my roommate, who's a guy, to go with me because I was worried, like, if anything happened along the way. And even with that, we have my building has a group chat. So we tend to share information with each other. And during those months or weeks, there were a lot more just assaults here and there around the building, in front of our lobby. So it kind of got scary to be outside. Um, Me being Asian in particular was, I just didn't want to be outside anymore. I was scared of going onto the train, just walking on the streets, hearing about people being assaulted. I avoided that as well. Um, I think it finally went away when the city started opening up again. So when everybody was out on the streets again, it started to feel more safe. And I think that's when that feeling went away completely.
So today you feel a lot safer. You're not really worried.
Being targeted for being Asian, no, but just being a woman and walking out on the streets, yes, still.
And you said that you've always felt that, right? Like, is it because of the statistics that are out there about safety, or is it simply, hey, I'm a female, the streets may be dark, you never know who's around the corner?
So, a couple of instances happened over the summer just to people in my building. And there was this one guy who's like 6'2", who is fully capable of defending himself, but ended up being pinned against the wall outside of my building and getting punched. So, I, I wouldn't. know what to do in that situation. I've never taken any self defense classes, and just thinking of that happening to me is really scary. So I think the woman part of it is just that, I mean, if I was trained, then it would be fine. But because I'm a lot weaker physically, I mean, I'm like, what, 5'1"? So I don't really have.
I thought we were the same height.
Oh, did you shrink? Is it because of old age? It's because of old
I'm definitely getting old.
age.
No, did you experience any of the side effects of the prisons getting, I guess, emptied out a little bit? Um, and for those that aren't in New York, Cuomo, I believe, sent a mandate that prisons release low grade offenders, um, and they put them in a lot of hotels in Midtown. Did you see any effect of that? Because I know I have some friends who live closer to Hudson Yards and closer to Kips Bay, and they saw a large increase of loitering and people that didn't look the friendliest.
um, I think what you're talking about is where he set up homeless shelters in the Upper West Side hotels, right?
Well, no, they set up some homeless shelters um, in certain areas of the city,
Mm.
but in addition to that, because of COVID, they released a certain level of prisoners out into hotels in Midtown.
No, I don't think Midtown changed that much. I think because everyone who had a home was able to stay home, what you saw, and maybe what some people's experience is just seeing the people that are usually out there anyway, but with no other noise and distraction around them. So they stick out more so than usual. At least that's what I found in my area. Um, I'm not sure, like you mentioned, Kips Bay and Hudson Yards. I know around Penn Station, there's a bus stop that has somewhat become a shelter over the last couple of months. I'm not sure if that's still the case. Um, but that's the only difference that I saw over the past couple of months.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Penn Station has always been kind of messy. But that's an interesting point that you make, that perhaps because there's no tourism, people are staying at home. Maybe the people that have always been there just stand out, right?
Hmm.
Hadn't thought about that. But you used to live closer to Herald Square, which is like where the big famous Macy's store is, and I'm guessing that that area is a little bit better kept up with,
Uh,
just because of the shopping and the tourism.
well, you have to keep in mind there wasn't much tourism until probably the last 2 months. So before then, I remember seeing Herald Square pretty much empty right around early April or mid-April, and it was so weird to see because usually that area you have to squeeze past people to walk on the
Hmm.
sidewalk. But I remember back then it was just completely empty. I wouldn't say it's kept well in any way. In fact, after tourism resumed, there's a lot more people there, so I think it's messier now. But it's good to see kind of things going back to somewhat normal. People are shopping in Macy's. People are standing outside of H&M, lining up to buy sneakers. So that's good. Always good to see.
Yeah, it's really confusing and also concerning to a certain extent, because I've been around the city a little bit and I've seen plenty of tourists, and I'm like, aren't we still in a pandemic?
Yeah, I just had a friend fly to Turkey. I I don't know what for, but one day she was in New York and the next day she's in Turkey. So
Wait, is this recent?
today.
What? I thought we couldn't travel anywhere.
I don't know. I'm actually really curious to see. I don't know if it's a business thing. I'm not entirely sure because I know companies are avoiding travel. So I'm pretty sure it's for leisure. But yeah, it's weird to see some people have traveled multiple times via plane or whatever else, trains, and some people just have not left their borough since March.
Yeah. Okay. So let's pretend that you can fly anywhere and you have the time and money to do it. Where do you go first?
Japan. So
Japan
yeah, I had been meaning to be in Japan this summer anyways.
for the Olympics.
Yeah, for the Olympics and the food, I was gonna stop in three different cities and then
Which
spend
ones?
time in China. I wanted to do Osaka, Tokyo, and then what was the other one that I wanted to stop in?
Kyoto.
I don't think it was Kyoto. I think it was a different one. But I was gonna go to three places and then stop in China for a little bit um, before coming back to school. But obviously, plans changed. Another spot I'd really want to go to is um, Greece.
Ah, yes. I was actually trying to go to Greece over the summer.
For what?
Well, they have beautiful waters, mountains, not mountains, but cliff type of things. And an old college buddy of mine, uh, he's Greek and he would swear by that place. And so originally my plan when the year started was to make a pit stop in Italy and in Greece.
Oh yes, Italy by the waters. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Really
So I'm
sucks that you
like,
can't go anywhere.
I know. Everything this this pandemic needs to be over.
When do you think we're going back to actually, let me not say going back. When do you think we'll reach the new normal?
2022. I think we'll be at a good place by the end of summer 2021, but that new normal where everything's kind of just going with no real concern will be 2022.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. Because did you see Pfizer coming out with the 90% effectiveness of their new vaccine? And then Canada says they're going to have it by March. So maybe there's some hope, but for everyone to be vaccinated and achieve herd immunity, I think that's going to take a while as well. Would you take the vaccine as soon as possible or would you wait?
That's so funny. My last podcast I recorded with Robbie, and he is a nurse who has worked in the COVID unit for pretty much the entire time. And he asked me that same exact question because he was expressing his concern about people that aren't taking it serious
Mhm.
and that are spreading it to those who are more vulnerable to serious damage, not just death. But he asked me that exact same question: would I take it? And I said, hell no.
Really? Wait,
Well,
or just for now?
okay. So for now, for sure. For now, for
Okay.
sure, I would not take it. But here's my logic: you you come out with this prototype by Pfizer that just came out.
Hmm.
This vaccine is looking promising. However, there's transportation issues because the vaccine itself has to be maintained at like negative 80 Celsius, which is far beyond any capabilities of a regular freezer. So, in addition to that, the government has already been mass producing this. They're mass producing a bunch of vaccines, and
Hmm.
whichever is the best is the one that they're going to distribute. The
Yes.
problem is most of the not most, but the problem is by mass production, they really mean 4 or 5% of the population will be able to get it, which is virtually nothing. Because Robbie is a frontline worker, he will be the guinea pig. Whatever vaccine they decide to go with, all frontline workers are going to have to get it. In addition to that, they're going to have that dilemma of, okay, who's next? So obviously, the elder population, people who are extremely vulnerable, how long is that going to take, right? by the time that it comes around to be okay, the general public can now go get a shot, I think coronavirus is going to be virtually gone.
I don't think it's going to be gone, but
Please just make it go away.
I would love to because it's getting in the way of everything. And I know, I mean, it hasn't affected my life in like a really, really bad way. So I should be grateful for that. But it's still
Right.
just this year needs to just be over so we can start fresh next year. But the virus, this thing is, who would have known that it would come this year and it would do this much damage?
Yeah. No, I think this is one of the few years that I had pretty much planned out. Um, Usually I just kind of play it by ear, but
Don't you usually have your runs scheduled in the summer months or something, or your marathons?
yeah, I've been trying to get into a couple of marathons, but I've had no luck.
Have you seen the ones that they do at home where you wear a tracker and then you run the marathon within your vicinity, whatever it is? Someone did it on a balcony, I think.
Yes, I do remember there was a guy in Italy, or maybe it was somewhere else. I don't know, but he ran like a full marathon on a balcony,
Hmm.
and I don't know how he didn't kill himself halfway through that because that just sounds awful.
That would drive me nuts. Just running a like a meter or two, turning around and running back, and just repeating that for I don't even know how long he did that for.
I'm sure he did it for hours, but no, that sounds terrible. The reason that I always try to live close to Central Park is because whenever I do need to go run, which COVID has helped out a lot because I mean, what else am I going to do? Um, it gives me 6 miles of different scenery. And if I want to run more than 6 miles, there's different paths in Central Park that I can go and still get different scenery. The thing that drives me nuts is seeing the same thing over and over. So a balcony, no.
Yeah, I'm not a runner, but just I agree with that landscape changing thing. Are you still running 10 miles or is
I
that
am not running 10 miles. You are being a bully at this point.
I'm not. I'm just concerned about your well-being at your old age.
Yeah, laugh it up. No, but I am running plenty. I'm averaging probably around 5 or 6 miles per run.
That's good. I think that's something a lot of people turned to was exercise throughout COVID and lockdown. I remember the runners were still out and about, and that was the only thing you could do just at a distance. So exercise was a huge thing. But other than that, how did it impact your life? Because it seems like you were still doing a lot of what you normally do, other than the comedy stuff.
Well, it halted everything. Like I said, I had huge plans for this year, um, including a lot of traveling, nixed, a lot of stand up comedy shows, nixed.
Mm.
Um, and then just, I'm a very active person socially. So,
Hey.
huh, yeah, so I went from going out to the bars, 5 times a week to sitting at home.
Whoa, that's a lot.
No, yeah, my money, my wallet was very angry with me. Um, so I think if there's anything good that came out of this pandemic is the fact that my spending got cut dramatically.
That's very interesting because the same thing happened to me. Although, yeah, I would say once I resumed dating, it the spending shot straight back up again. But aside from that, it was just staying at home and cooking and buying your own groceries saves so much money. Drinks outside are so expensive. Cocktails?
Right, right. No, I mean, so over the summer between probably the end of March, early April, and until just a month ago, I literally lived at Central Park. And you can go get a 12 pack of whatever you want for a fraction of the price. Go to Central Park, lay down. have a picnic. And if you used to get obliterated at the bars, now you get obliterated at the park, and you get a much better scenery. You don't socialize as much, but the drinking is still there.
And you can take a nap whenever you want on the grass.
Oh yeah, I mean, I took so many naps there. It was heaven.
Did you get sunburned again?
No, I did get sunburned. Where did I get sunburned? When was it? Maybe it was at the park. Maybe I did get sunburned there.
It was. Where else could you possibly get sunburned in New York with all these big buildings?
Huh.
Oh, what was it? The beach? That time you went to the beach? You remember Rockaway?
Oh yeah, I did make a trip out to Rockaway. Yeah, so the day started out really cloudy, and so of course me and my friends are idiots, and we're like, "Oh, it's barely sunny, no need to worry." And within an hour, the sun comes out with a vengeance, and I put on sunscreen a little bit too late, and ta-da!
You need to start wearing sunscreen. It's important. It's not just for tanning, it's also, skin cancer.
Well, I just wish the people that I was around would help me out
Did
because
you
the
not learn your lesson last summer?
apparently not. Well, no, because you let me fall asleep on the
I
beach.
did not let you do anything.
You let me fall asleep, and then you not once offered to lather me up and
I
save my
didn't
skin.
want to disturb your sleep. How was
Uh
I
huh.
supposed to know?
Uh huh.
Hey,
You're terrible.
I escaped fine. I was not sunburned at all, I believe.
Yeah, must be
From
nice.
sunscreen. Yes. That should be a PSA. Everybody wear sunscreen.
When's the last time you drove?
Actually, September. Oh, was it September or October? So I actually recently went down to DC to visit my new classmates, and we rented a Tesla. So
How was that?
obviously, I had to drive that. I don't know why anyone buys any other car. Like, after you're in a Tesla, why would you want to be in anything else? It's amazing. Just the minimalism, the fact that it's not a fully self driving car. You have to periodically still put your hands on the wheel and it'll punish you and cancel the self driving if you don't. But you can essentially just one hand leave it on the wheel, other hand scroll through Instagram or watch soccer or watch a movie or learn Spanish, anything you want to do. I don't know why people buy other cars.
Or your personal favorite, napping?
No, because it'll start beeping and you have to put your hands on the wheel. So,
It'll beep if you fall asleep.
well, if you don't put your hands on the wheel, yes. I guess if you can sleep with your hands holding onto the wheel, then no.
Interesting.
But highly recommend. Even if you rent it just for the experience of driving it for 3 days, highly, highly recommended. Do you have
Yeah.
a car?
Huh?
Do you have a car?
No. Once I moved to New York, I didn't see a need for a car. Although in the past, I have pondered getting a car just so I could do trips up to upstate and stuff like that.
Honestly, I don't think the parking is worth it. I think, given the frequency of your trips, which is probably not every single weekend, I think just renting a car should be okay.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. But if you were in a relationship, which I mean, I'm not, and you have dual income, and you can live somewhere, maybe not inside the city, but maybe in Brooklyn or something, and you're a big fan of hiking or whatever, it might not be a bad idea, right?
For those people, yes. For you, maybe not.
Like, are you calling me lazy?
No, I'm just saying that I doubt you'll be hiking every weekend.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't. I'm not a big hiker,
There we go.
but it would be nice to just go anywhere at any time. Shut up.
So
I'm
great.
trying to think of logics to buy a car.
Okay. I think it's good to just rent it for a weekend whenever you go and then drop it off when you come back. I've gone on a couple of trips this way and it's been great. I actually did go hiking for my birthday.
When was your birthday?
Do you not remember?
No, I don't remember anybody's birthday. I don't know my parents' birthday.
Which I don't understand how that happens.
I
How
don't
do you
like
not know your
birthdays.
parents' birthday?
I don't know.
And your brothers?
I know my little brothers for some reason, but that's about it. And mine. I know mine.
Of course, you should know yours. Mine's September, so early September.
Well, happy belated birthday.
2 months later, thank you.
It still counts.
It doesn't count. It's 2 months already. I'm on my way to my next birthday already.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. So before I let you go, was there anything that you wanted to talk about in specific to uh what was it that you said? Relationship stuff, advice, whatever?
Oh, that was just helping people with their problems. That doesn't really work out if you don't have a problem for me to help you with. Or do you? That would be very interesting. How's your life been, Pablo?
Oh my god, I need therapy so bad.
Yes. Lay
Oh,
down
shut up.
and let's get into this. How has your life been?
No, I mean I'm one of those lucky few. And I don't want to say few, but if you think about all the people that have been affected by COVID, whether it's people that they know that got sick, whether it's people that have passed away, whether it's people that have lost jobs, income, lifestyles, I truly feel like I am one of those that got affected the least. I can
Mhm,
sit here and bitch about, ooh, I wish I could go to a bar and meet people and drink with them.
mhm.
But I mean, that's nothing compared to the lives that have been destroyed, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree and I definitely resonate with that feeling. But you asked me about relationship problems and you turned it back to COVID.
Oh, I thought this was a therapy session.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, relationship wise, I'm okay. I'm not. I
How
don't want
did
to
it
say that I'm.
impact, how did COVID impact your dating life?
Well, now I don't know if I'm allowed to touch anyone. Because I mean, what's the protocol now, right? You meet someone and then it's like, all right, keep 6 feet apart.
I don't know. What has your experience been?
The opposite.
How is it the opposite? Like you just don't have the experience or you don't stay 6 feet apart?
We don't stay 6 feet apart. No, it's pretty crazy how confident people are with themselves. And I'll give this an example. Um, I joined a kickball league, and I mean, we're all strangers, but at the same time, you show up, they measure your temperature, they give you hand sanitizer, and they're all like, "Okay, everybody here good? Cool." And everybody takes off their masks and they start drinking, and then we're all just best friends.
No. You guys, is this NYC social?
Yes.
Uh, I don't know how they're doing the kickball one, but my boyfriend's in the soccer one, and you're not allowed to take off your mask when you're on the field.
Okay,
Oh.
so what I meant to say is when you're on the field and playing, you have to wear a mask.
Okay.
But I mean, that's only part of the game, right? And that's only part of the reason that people go to
Mm,
these leagues.
mm.
It's more of a social event. So as soon as the game is over or before the game starts, none of us have a mask on. We're all drinking and we're just socializing.
Yeah, I think it really
Because
depends.
I'm because with your boyfriend, is he showing up to play and then just goes home?
At first, it was that way, and then slowly, as people just got more comfortable showing up every week and knowing that no one was really going anywhere else, we would sit about 6 feet apart and all drink beers together. But even then, people would still have somewhat of a mask on when they're sitting closer to you. So, like, let's say they're coming closer to you to grab a beer or some food, they'll like quickly put the mask on and then move a little bit further back. So, I think it depends on each individual person's threshold on
Yeah.
how comfortable they are. But I can't imagine doing that on a date, like sitting really far apart or not eating and drinking and just wearing a mask the whole time. That must be strange.
Yeah, I don't think now is a good time to date, but I mean, everyone has to get their own, right?
I do think the social aspect is probably one of the most impacted in everybody's lives outside of obviously jobs and getting sick. There's a long list, like you just said, of issues that other people have dealt with before we get to the social aspect. So I'm just talking
Right.
about the social aspect in general. Um, if that is someone's main concern, I think we're not meant to be pent up in a tiny little room in New York City, of all places, where our apartments are probably the size of like a bathroom in a big house in Texas, you know? So it's we're not meant to be trapped and away from other people and not socializing. It really drives you nuts. And I think people's mental health really deteriorated over the lockdown months. At least I know a lot of people around me have.
Yeah. And I think it's healthy to find outlets. And I think some people, I know of a handful of people whose outlet was sadly snacking a lot, drinking a lot.
Because that's what you have access to. You're home, you're not really doing much.
Right, right. And I don't blame them, right?
Mm.
I'm lucky that I have this creative bug inside of me that always wants to come out. So I found different ways to kind of put my energy out there without doing stand up and meeting new people at the bar.
That's good. A lot of people have kind of had to pivot and
Yep.
redirect that energy. So it's good you've kind of redirected it to a more digital version than in person.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and Sherry, I want to thank you very much for the time.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
It was fun, and hopefully we never do this again.
Hopefully. Good God, I'm so glad it's over.
Although you still owe me some bubble tea, so
I
and
don't
I
know
think
where
you also
you
owe me
get the
nuggets.
idea. No, I think you're mistaken. I think you're mistaken.
We 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 made a bet and you lost, so pay up.
What was the bet? Oh, by
Um,
the way, you know I actually won money this weekend? And
how?
I never win anything. So I went to a masquerade in Philly, which was like a friend of a friend was hosting. And they had a little puzzle that you had to solve. And at the end, you open up the box with a code. And they had like little scratch off cards in there as a prize. So I ended up scratching it and I won $10. It was really cool.
I will gladly accept the
No,
$10
no, no.
as payment of the
No,
bubble tea
that
that
was not the point of me telling you this.
you have owed me this for God knows how long.
I don't. If you remind me of the bet, I will gladly pay up.
I think, and I'm 90% sure that the bet was, can we get from what was it? Can we which one is quicker? Taking the F train or the Q train from
Oh, shit.
34th?
To
And
72nd.
yeah, and I said the Q train, and you're like, no way, the F train. No, but it wasn't even to where was it to? I don't
Oh,
remember.
it was 60. Was it 63rd? Because I think that's the one. 63rd and 59.
No, it was probably 57. No, I don't remember. Point is, I was correct, which I usually
Were
am.
you really? Because I think we probably arrived at the same time. Do we time it or do we
Yeah,
hop on?
so we timed it. So we took the Q train one time and we timed it. And then when we took the F, you were like, "Oh shit, I forgot that there's like an extra stop or something like that."
Oh no!
And sure enough,
How
it
do
wasn't
you
that huge.
remember this?
I don't know. I remember the weirdest things, so that's one of them.
And that was bubble tea or chicken nuggets? Because you can only pick one.
Well, that was bubble tea, but over time the interest builds up, so I'll take the nugget.
No, I did not agree to any interest. That's a lie.
Well,
That's
it's
not happening.
implied.
That's not happening.
I'll see you in court.
Good luck. Are they not closed? Oh, housing court is, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that all works. I got a couple of buddies of mine who are lawyers, and I I know for the longest time they were working from home, but I think one of them just recently started going to court, and I think some of them were doing virtual. I don't know. It's all a mess.
Yeah, I have a best friend who's a paralegal at one of the companies, and her lawyers have been working from home, so even their cases are virtual.
Yeah, I hate virtual. But anyways, so next
Now
time I
that
see
you've
you,
extorted food out of me, can I leave now?
I didn't extort anything. You owe me fair and square. So
Oh,
next time I see
I
you,
thought I paid up though.
nope, nope, nope.
Isn't
You owe me.
there what is it called? Statute of limitations? What is the
Absolutely
expiring
not.
date
Not in the
on
no.
this?
If you look at the fine print,
Been long enough.
I'm telling you, uh, we could keep waiting, and then we can add more food to it. That's
No,
fine.
no, 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 no. You'll get your bubble tea, and that's gonna be the end of it.
Sherry, I think you're awesome. I thank you for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much. This was fun.